Hey, welcome to this is day 3 of our 8-day challenge on how to become a super achiever. My respect and my honor to you for having the commitment to get here for 3 days in a row. You're almost halfway there. That speaks volumes. So what we're trying to do is help you to become a super achiever, like Tiger Woods or Elon Musk or Stephen Jobs or anybody who really truly crushed it in what they achieved in life. And we started off with the idea that these people didn't have a silver spoon in their mouth and they didn't have some kind of special genetic makeup that allowed them to become super achievers. They simply had a plan and a way of doing things, and that means that it's teachable. That means it's something that you can learn and you too can become a super achiever. And that's what we're trying to get to you. Now, it started off with the idea, as we introduced it to you, that you had to believe in yourself. You had to believe that you had the ability. You had to believe that you were worthy. You had to believe that you knew how. And if you didn't know how, at least you knew how to go find out. And with that as your base, as your launching point, we started into some tools that will help you become a super achiever. We talked about having clarity, knowing where it was that you wanted to go, and knowing what your final destination was. And we talked about knowing how that would look in your mind's eye with as many of the senses that you have as possible. What does it look like? What's it smell like? If it's possible, what's it taste like? What's it sound like? What does it feel like? The more that you develop that image in your mind with those 5 senses, the more that it gets into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind then automatically, through the law of attraction, points out to you things that are helpful on your way to becoming a super achiever and achieving that dream, that desire, that aspiration that you have in mind. The second tool that we talked about was commitment. And we knew that you had to be committed. You have to be all in. You have to want it with a burning, white-hot passion. And if you are not committed, you're not going to get there. One of the things that we talked about near the end of that little video from yesterday was writing out a pact with yourself that you are going to be committed to getting this done. You're going to name a date that it's going to be done by, and then you're going to sign it. And after you date it and you sign it and you know when you're going to get it done, then you take it to someone who can help you. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a neighbor, a friend, a relative, and you point out to them, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do. This is when I want to have it done. And I need you to be my accountability partner. This is my pact that I made with myself. I'm giving you a copy. Please check in on me. Ask me about it. Ask me how I'm doing as I progress along. Because those accountability partners hold our feet to the fire. They help us reach the goal that we've set for ourselves. Today, we're going to talk about a third tool for you in this toolkit to help you become a super achiever. And that is consistency. It's kind of like a sister to the commitment. Those two kind of work hand in hand. But I'm sure you know those kinds of people who have a great vision and they're very committed to it. And they take off like a pinball shot out of a pinball machine and they bounce all over the place, ping, 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 ping. And eventually they run out of gas and they sit down because they're exhausted. They've tried to do too much, too fast. They haven't thought it through, and they're so tired that they lose sight of their commitment. And they pull out a bag of chips and a 2-liter bottle of Coke, and they sit there and they Netflix and chill. Well, you come back about 3 days later, and they're still deep into Netflix and chill because they haven't put consistent action to it. Here's how I want you to think of this. There's a big, round, heavy stone boulder on your driveway. And you have to move it to the end of the driveway where you can kind of roll it off to the side and paint it and put your house number and your name on it so people know who you are. As you go to move that big round heavy stone, it takes a lot of effort to get it started. But once it starts rolling down the driveway, it gets a little easier. Just a couple little touches and you're just kind of just barely hitting it and it's moving. And then eventually you have to put some effort to it to stop it and roll it off to the side. We've just talked about Newton's first two laws of physics. A body at rest tends to stay at rest until it's acted upon by an outside force. That's us getting that ball rolling. Then the second law, a body in motion tends to stay in motion until acted upon by an outside force. That's us stopping it. So it's the same way with consistency. It takes some effort, it takes some desire to get up and get started. And a lot of people have it right off the bat when they take off, but then they burn themselves out because they try to do too much in too short of a time frame. They try to do too many places at the same time, and they get exhausted, they get burned out, so they sit down and they lose that momentum. And when they lose that momentum, then it's hard for them to get started again. So here's my tip for consistency. I start with an overall plan. That's my overarching goal. Then I divide that into maybe monthly goals, what I'm going to do each month to help me reach that end goal. Then I break those monthly goals as each month comes up into weekly goals. Then on Sunday, I sit down with that weekly goal and I sit in front of a planner, an appointment book, and I mark out each day the amount of time and what time on that day that I am going to spend working on this project. That is cast in stone. That I do not like to change for anybody. Because you know what it is. There's going to be someone who's going to come up and they know that you're a good, helpful person. And they're going to say, hey, I've got a problem. Can you help me with this problem? I need this done. And it happens right at the time you want to do this project. The thing to do is to tell them, look, I've had this on my calendar to do for weeks. You're coming up to me right now. And it's not that I don't want to help you. I do, and I will. But I need to know the last possible moment that I can become involved before the whole thing falls apart on you. That's when I'm going to help you. Otherwise, I'm working on my project now. And that way you stay with a consistent effort. Now, do you remember I told you about getting that pact that you signed and you've asked for someone to be their accountability partner for you? How about getting that accountability partner to be your consistency partner as well by telling them, look, I want you to check on me every day and make sure I'm making progress. But if I don't have this thing done by the deadline that I've set, I'm going to take you out and buy you a steak dinner. Now you've got a little skin in the game. Now you have a reason to be consistent along with everything else that we've been talking about. Hey, I hope these things are helpful to you. I hope that you're finding them useful as you are on your path to become a super achiever. Please like, follow, and share this content. Remember to go to YouTube to look at Next Level Now. You'll find us. I think we're actually going to change the name to The Real Next Level Now because there's a bunch of them out there. We'll go ahead and get you a link to that. And if you would please, if you're interested, please DM me your first name, your last name, and your email address, and I can keep contact with you, let you know when we have new events coming up, when we have new content that's going to drop, so that we can help you become a super achiever. Okay, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Halfway point, after you get through tomorrow, you have done step 4 of 8. Good job. See you then.